The 2026 World Cup is closing in on starting, and I'm going to start off my World Cup coverage with the England 2026 World Cup roster and how I would line them up. I supported England internationally really since the 2014 World Cup alongside Canada, but Canada wouldn't be at some events like a couple World Cups and then obviously the Euros. So England were the team I'd always support when Canada were not involved. Obviously, now they're both involved, so I will have two nations I'll be mainly supporting at the World Cup, but England being one of them. In this video, I'll be going over the roster, saying how I think they should line up with the players they have selected. And yeah, should be a fun one. So stick around to see my thoughts on how England should line up at this World Cup. So this is who England have chosen to bring to the World Cup. As you can see, 26 names. A lot of them I agree with, I think should be on the plane. Some of them I disagree with. Going over the goalies, you have Pickford, Dean Henderson, James Trafford. Three ideal choices there. Center halves, Dan Burn, Mark Gahey, Ezri Konsa, Joao Kwanzaa, John Stones. I like Gahey, Konsa, and John Stones coming. Gahey and Konsa are your clear starters. John Stones is, I think, a good leader who can help bring some veteran leadership as well as he's still a fine player on his day. Joao Kwanzaa and Dan Burn, I would have went elsewhere with. I would have brought Levi Colwill and Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire, I just think, is similar to Dan Burn, but had a better season. Levi Colwill, I just think he'll be in the England setup in the future. I get he only played 3 games this year, but I think he's someone who'll be trusted more than Kwanzaa in the future. So he's someone I would have brought. Reece James, Tino Livramento, Nico O'Reilly, and Jed Spence are your fullbacks. I like James. I like Nico O'Reilly. They're who I would start. Livramento and Jed Spence, I think they both give you versatility at both sides of the pitch, which is why I would have only brought one of them. I think you only need that for one guy. I would have brought maybe like a Trent or a Lewis Hall, who gives you something different to the other. I prefer Jed Spence to Tino Livramento, so that's what I probably would have brought. It is what it is. I think they're fine options. Nothing to complain about there. In midfield, you have Elliot Anderson, Declan Rice, Jordan Henderson, Jude Bellingham, Bobby Mainu, Eberiche Eze, and Morgan Rogers. Anderson and Rice, I think, are two fantastic choices. Two players who will give you elite minutes at this tournament. Declan Rice, obviously, as the starter, and Elliot Anderson whenever he's called upon. Jordan Henderson, I've been doing a couple takes of this video, and the more I've talked about him, the more I kind of thought I don't mind this, honestly, as long as he doesn't see the field. If he sees the field, then I'll be annoyed because there are a couple of options who I just prefer. But if he doesn't see the field and he's just there as a veteran leader, I think that's something that can definitely be good. He's been at multiple tournaments, including the Euros, including the World Cup. He can be someone who can get the guys straight, just tell them, get their minds in a proper place, a good mentality. So I actually don't mind Jordan Henderson as long as he's there as basically an honorary coach. Jude Bellingham, Kobbie Mainoo in that center mid role. I do think Bellingham can move up to the pitch into like as a Rogers territory, but with who they brought in midfield, I do like Bellingham more as a midfielder more because I think a him and Rice pivot is among the best in the tournament. Kobbie Mainoo had a fantastic second half for United, and in scenarios where they want to push Bellingham up in the pitch, I think Bellingham, Mainoo, Anderson midfield, not Anderson, sorry, Rice midfield, he's the best in the tournament. I think Kobbie Mainoo, he gives England something, both defensive and offensive. He's just a unicorn of a player. And when he fully hits his stride, I think he'll be regarded as one of the best midfielders in the world. Eberiche Eze and Morgan Rogers at attacking mid. I do like them both. I do think they're fine players. For Eze, had a good year for Arsenal, helping them win the league and obviously making the UCL final. Morgan Rogers, I think, had a good year for Aston Villa, helping them win the Europa League and a good year in the Prem. So two options who, if they were like England wants to set up like how I personally think they should set up, I think they're both options who can give you some good minutes in the attack and mid role. As for your attackers, left wing Anthony Gordon and Marcus Rashford, two good choices, two potential teammates at Barcelona, as Anthony Gordon will be headed there. Two guys who are quick, can score goals. Don't know about their playmaking instincts. I think Rashford had a fine year playmaking. Not sure about Anthony Gordon, although I don't watch enough Newcastle to give a full opinion on him. Strikers, we have Harry Kane, Ollie Watkins, Ivan Toney. Harry Kane and Ollie Watkins had good years. Harry Kane had a fantastic year, and barring a good tournament at this tournament, could be in Ballon d'Or conversations. Ollie Watkins had a good year for Aston Villa. Ivan Toney's just there for penalties, to be completely honest. He's just there. If we get to a penalty shootout, he's one of the best in the world. But if you were going to bring someone like that, I would have brought a guy like Palmer. because Palmer gives you more versatility in where he can play. Ivan Toney, I don't think we'll see the field with Watkins and Kane just at this tournament. Barring England needs a last minute goal and they're just going to whack on another attacker. Bukayo Saka and Nani Madueke, I like the Saka inclusion. Obviously, a fantastic year for Arsenal winning the league. Probably not as many contributions as he wanted, but nonetheless had a fine year. He seems to show up a lot in England kits. Nani Madueke should never have touched this team. He's just not that good. I don't get it. Like, yeah, he's on Arsenal. He won the league, but I just don't think he's that good of a player. I would have rather some of the other options. And talk about those options, the players who were left at home. You have Trent, you have Lewis Hall, Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, Levi Colwell, Adam Morton, Alex Scott, Morgan Gibbs White, Phil Foden, Cole Palmer, and Jared Bowen. These are all players who, if they made the squad, wouldn't have hated. Again, with Trent and Lewis Hall, I think they just offer something different than one of Jed Spence and Tino Livramento that I would have preferred. Luke Shaw I just threw in there because I know he's been in the England setup for a while, and this was his first fully healthy year in a couple of years. So you'd think he probably would have made the team, but he didn't. So definitely interesting to see. I would have given him a shout and making it honestly, but Tuchel thought otherwise. Harry Maguire should have been on this team. No ifs, ands, or buts. He's basically the exact same player as Dan Burn, just better. And if you need a clutch goal last minute, you're throwing everyone in the box. There's no player better in the world than Harry Maguire. Levy Colwill, I also would have brought just because he'll be in England setup for years to come. Why not get it started now than wait in the tournament or wait until the friendlies in September? Adam Morton and Alex Scott are just two options who they're good players. I think they're better than Jordan Henderson, but once again, the Henderson leadership thing, I get it why they brought him. Morgan Gibbs White probably should have been on this plane. Had a phenomenal year for Nottingham Forest. Kind of crazy he's not. Can give you, again, versatility. I'm pretty sure he can roll deeper into that 8 role, but also play in an attacking mid role. He's kind of, I've seen comparisons. He's kind of like a Bruno Fernandes in a way in how he plays, which I think England could obviously use a player like that. I mean, Bruno's one of the best in the world. Phil Foden, I got him here because he's someone who has been in the England setup for years. On his day, is one of the best players in the Premier League, but he really hasn't been on his day these past couple of years and has clearly fallen out of order. But you just always tie him, Palmer, and Saka together, which is why next name Cole Palmer didn't make the plane. Again, I would have brought him. It is what it is. Tuchel, you'd think with him being a former Chelsea coach, there's the whole Chelsea bias thing with him. They didn't bring Cole Palmer, who's a Chelsea player. I don't get it. Obviously, Tuchel never coached him, but you'd just think Cole Palmer would have made the plane. But if you're a Chelsea fan, you're probably happy because he gets to stay home and rest for the summer, which is a good thing for you guys. Jared Bowen, right winger for West Ham. Obviously, West Ham got relegated, didn't have the greatest year. It wasn't because of Jared Bowen. Jared Bowen himself had a fine year, good amount of goal contributions, and would have been a good name for England. So that's the England roster. These are some notable names they left off. Next, I'm going to be going over position by position who I would start for England. Now I'm going to go over my England lineup based on the roster Thomas Tuchel has selected, starting off with the defense and the goalies. In net, you see Jordan Pickford and Dean Henderson are my two choices here. Pickford as the number one, 40 games played, 11 clean sheets, good average match rating this year. Helped Everton to a mid-table finish, and once again being one of the top 3 in the Golden Glove race with 11 clean sheets in the league. Second choice, I do have Dean Henderson for Crystal Palace. 52 games, 16 clean sheets, including today's final. Good average match rating, so Dean Henderson brought home a trophy. Was up there in the Golden Glove race as well with Pickford. I think they're actually tied in the league. So 5 clean sheets in other competitions for Dean Henderson. Won a European trophy. Will be in Europa League next year. Definitely getting more coverage in the league and in the world with what he's done at Crystal Palace these past couple of years. And I think these are two fine choices. Obviously, I had Pickford as the one just because he's been number one for so long, and there's no reason not to have him as the one. He's done nothing warrant to losing the role. Dean Henderson as the number 2. I think he's a good goalie who, if anything were to happen to Pickford, you'd feel fine with Dean Henderson. Left back, I have Nico O'Reilly and Jed Spence. I like Nico O'Reilly. I think he's a solid player. A good year for City. He's young. He'll be in the England setup for years to come and just had a fantastic year. So, clear number 1 choice there. Jed Spence. You can also throw Livramento here and just mix and match them either side. I just threw Jed Spence here. Good year, or well, not really a good year, obviously, with where Tottenham was at. And he was being used as a winger, I saw, but a solid year for Jed Spence. And I guess Tuchel saw enough to warrant calling him up. As we get in the right back side, I will say, I don't, I think one of him or Livramento, again, should have been swapped out for one of Trent or Lewis Hall. Right back, I have Reece James as my first choice. 9 contributions in 44 games this year, 7.2 average match rating. It's kind of ridiculous that I think this is Reece James' first true competition as the number one right back. He might have been in at the 2022 World Cup. I know he wasn't involved in 2024. I don't know if he's involved before 2022. Tino Livramento as the second choice right back. Again, can interchange him with Jed Spence. Would also like to see someone else in the setup ahead of Tino Livramento, but solid flexibility they give you nonetheless. As for the center backs, my first choice center back is Mark Gahey, who had 8 contributions in 53 games. Don't know why it says 9. I thought I put 8. 7.3 average match rating. My third choice center back, so Mark Gahey's backup, more compared to being the starter. 18 games, no contributions. Solid year for John. Well, not really a solid year for John Stones at City. Seemed like he was plagued with injuries, but solid veteran who will give you good minutes off the bench. Obviously, well-known England starter in past events, so this time taking a bit of a lesser role at this World Cup. My second center back, we have Ezri Konsa and Dan Burn as the choices. Konsa as the starter, Burn as the backup. Ezri Konsa, good year for Aston Villa, helping them win a European trophy, getting top four. Dan Burn, good year for Newcastle. I just think Harry Maguire is a better center half, but two choices who can give you good minutes nonetheless. Conte Gahey being my pairing. And yeah, that's it for the defense. Up next, I'll be going over the midfield. So going over how I'd start the midfield for England. Declan Rice at defensive mid, 54 games played, 14 contributions for Arsenal this year. Fantastic year for Arsenal, helping them win the league, getting to a Champions League final. We'll have to see how they do in that game, but he's had a phenomenal year for Arsenal, to say the least, and is worthy of starting for England. I have him as a more defensive role. I know there's been some talk about making him move forward a bit, but I just think for England, he would do a phenomenal job as the defensive mid. He's played there in past tournaments where he's done a good job. He's also played as a center back before, but I'm not going to be that crazy. But Declan Rice at center back, I do think as a defensive mid, he will do a fantastic job and help England go on a long run. Elliot Anderson will give some good minutes off the bench as well in that exact same role. He's been phenomenal for Forest this year. There's a reason he's being touted for about £100 million. It's going to be interesting to see where Elliot Anderson goes. I do hope it's United. The Forest United game I covered, he was so good. And I think I'd be willing to pay the price because you see Declan Rice. People were going bonkers over how much he got sold for. Now nobody talks about it. Why? Because Declan Rice plays like he's worth it. Same with Moises Caicedo. Like these midfielders, they get bought for so much money, but no one cares once they start playing as their worth. In central mid, I have Bellingham and Kobbie Mainoo, another player there in Bellingham who was bought for a lot of money. Uh, Bellingham, I know can move forward and plays like an attacking mid. I just think for this tournament, a Bellingham Rice pivot, there's not much better. 46 games played, 15 contributions, good match rating this year for Madrid. And it's been a weird year for Real Madrid. I think Bellingham will like time off with England and getting to refresh his memory before Jose Mourinho becomes his manager. Kobbie Mainoo, fantastic second half for United under Carrick. Did a good job in just stabilizing the midfield, helping United push for Champions League. It's going to be fun to watch Kobbie Mainoo on UCL days, man. Just what a player he is. 4 contributions in 30 games this year for Kobbie. 2 fantastic options. I wouldn't even be opposed to moving Bellingham to an attacking mid and having Kobbie come in to pivot Rice. I just think Bellingham, Rice, with how versatile they are, can do such a good job in that pivot. So my attacking mids would be Morgan Rogers and Eberechi Eze, 2 players who had good years for their respective clubs. Morgan Rogers helped Aston Villa win a European trophy in the Europa League. Eze helped Arsenal win the Premier League and potentially the UCL, although I do hope it's PSG who wins because I do not like Arsenal. I do think Eze and Rogers are fine choices at attacking mid. In the big games, would I be opposed to maybe Bellingham playing here? No, but for some of the lower games, I think you try the Rice Bellingham pivot and then have Morgan Rogers as that attacking mid, or even as once again, you can start either of them. I just prefer Rogers as a player. Now going into the attack, we have Rashford, Gordon at left wing. two potential teammates at Barcelona, as Anthony Gordon has gotten a here we go from Fabrizio to join Barcelona. Rashford, 25 contributions in just 3 more games than Gordon this year, with 3 contributions less than Rashford at 22. Though Anthony Gordon did have some empty contributions in the UCL against Karabag, and I think there's another team who they ended up lighting up, and Gordon did stat pad a little. Rashford, a great year for Barcelona. I knew there was a player in Rashford. I don't know what Amorim did to completely just ruin him. And then obviously found love again at Aston Villa and just had a fantastic year for Barcelona. I hope that whatever's next for Rashford, he can just continue playing the sport he loves and making an impact. He is a phenomenal player on his day, and I do miss him at United. I wouldn't be against bringing him back under Carrick and having him and Cunha down the left, man. That'd be such a great duo. It would be weird though if Rashford being the former number 10, Cunha being the new number 10. I do think Rashford's time at United is done. As for Gordon, I'm not Gordon's biggest fan. Don't watch him enough, but I just think the price he's getting sold for to Barcelona is a little bit crazy. I think he's being shouted for 60 million a few summers ago, and now he's going for 90. It is what it is. I hope Barcelona knows what they're doing, especially when they're supposedly too broke to buy Rashford. I've seen some stuff like wages. Yes, Rashford makes 14 million a year. How much do you think you're going to pay Gordon? He's not going to join Barcelona making 5K a week here. He's at least making 100 plus, which is 5 million. Obviously, with the fee you're paying, it really doesn't offset. I don't know. I'm not going to get into finances. So on the right wing, you have Saka, Madueke. Saka, easy starter. He starts over Madueke for Arsenal. No reason he shouldn't be starting for England. Good year for Saka. Probably a little bit low on the contributions than he would have liked, but he has one more match to get that up, and then a World Cup to obviously contribute there. As for Noni Madueke, I'm not a fan of him being on the team. I just like Bowen, Palmer, and Foden more than I like Madueke. It is what it is. I mean, Noni Madueke wasn't really a starter for Chelsea either, not a starter for Arsenal. I don't just support him being here. I hope he does well, but if Noni Madueke barely touches the pitch, I think England would be fine. As for striker, we got Harry Kane, who's had a phenomenal year. 56 games, 72 contributions, but in 64 goals, 8.2 average match rating. Phenomenal year for Bayern Munich, a good World Cup, and I think Harry Kane has the Ballon d'Or locked up. I mean, yes, there's Ousmane Dembele, who has a chance at winning double, and yes, there's Declan Rice, who definitely will also have a shout if they win the league, UCL, and he goes on and wins the World Cup. Harry Kane's had such a good year. If England win the World Cup, I think Harry Kane should be the runaway Ballon d'Or winner. But we'll see how the tournament goes, and if England does win it, Ollie Watkins is a good backup, good year, helping win Aston Villa the Europa League. I do believe he scored in that game, but I'm not fully. No, he didn't score in that game. It was Tielemans, Bundia, and Rogers. But Watkins, nonetheless, did a good job helping get Aston Villa to that UCL or Europa League final and helping them get UCL football through the league. So my England side, as you can see, Pickford, O'Reilly, Gahey, Konsa, James, Rice, Bellingham, Rogers, Rashford, Saka, Kane. Not much to say here. I think this is England's best potential lineup with who they've brought. Once again, if you want to move Bellingham up to where Rogers is and move Manu there, I wouldn't be against that. Or even Anderson there. Both of them are phenomenal players. I just think the Bellingham-Rice pivot in games can be so good for England. Then you have Rogers, who's a creative genius. You have Rashford, Saka, who can play two of the best wingers at the tournament. I think especially Rashford with his pace, Saka with his creativity. Then you have the best striker in the world right now, Harry Kane up top. This is why I think England should be starting at the World Cup. Will it be what they do start? I don't know. We'll have to see once the tournament begins. But yeah, can England win the World Cup? I do think they could. Will they? I'm not so sure. I will have a predictions video out, I think the day before the World Cup, giving my thoughts on what will happen. But yeah, this is it. For me at Owen Talk Sports, I will be rooting England on unless they play Canada, and I hope Canada smacks them. As for that, I don't know if that will ever happen. England, good squad, some missed opportunities. And yeah, let's hope it's a good year. 60 years of hurt, they say. Let's hope it becomes no years of, I don't know what I'm going here. Let's hope England just brings it home.